Good morning. Welcome to our first ever OpenAI DevDay. We're thrilled that you're here, and this energy is awesome. And in the last few months, we launched voice and vision capabilities so that ChatGPT can now see, hear, and speak. For our enterprise customers, we launched ChatGPT Enterprise. Today, we've got about 2 million developers, over 92% of Fortune 500 companies building on our products, and we have about 100 million weekly active users now. Okay, so now on to the new stuff, and we have got a lot. Today, we are launching a new model, GPT-4 Turbo. We've got 6 major things to talk about for this part. Number 1, context length. A lot of people have tasks that require a much longer context length. GPT-4 supported up to 8K, and in some cases up to 32K context length. GPT-4 Turbo supports up to 128,000 tokens of context. That's 300 pages of a standard book, 16 times longer than our 8K context. You'll notice that the model is much more accurate over a long context. Number 2, more control. We've heard loud and clear that developers need more control over the model's responses and outputs. We have a new feature called JSON mode, which ensures that the model will respond with valid JSON. The model is also much better at function calling. You can now call many functions at once. And it'll do better at following instructions in general. We're also introducing a new feature called reproducible outputs. You can pass a seed parameter, and it'll make the model return consistent outputs. This, of course, gives you a higher degree of control over model behavior. This rolls out in beta today. And in the coming weeks, we'll roll out a feature to let you view log probs in the API. Number 3, better world knowledge. So we're launching retrieval in the platform. You can bring knowledge from outside documents or databases into whatever you're building. GPT-4 Turbo has knowledge about the world up to April of 2023. Number 4, new modalities. Surprising no one, DALL-E 3, GPT-4 Turbo with vision, and the new text-to-speech model are all going into the API today. Coke is launching a campaign that lets its customers generate Diwali cards using DALL-E 3. GPT-4 Turbo can now accept images as inputs via the API to help people who are blind or have low vision with their daily tasks like identifying products in front of them. And with our new text-to-speech model, you'll be able to generate incredibly natural-sounding audio. I'll play an example.
Did you know that Alexander Graham Bell, the eminent inventor, was enchanted by the world of sounds? His ingenious mind led to the creation of the graphophone, which etched sounds onto wax, making voices whisper through time.
We're also releasing the next version of our open-source speech recognition model, Whisper v3, today, and it'll be coming soon to the API. Okay, number 5, customization. Fine-tuning has been working really well for GPT 3.5 since we launched it a few months ago. Starting today, we're going to expand that to the 16K version of the model. Also starting today, we're inviting active fine-tuning users to apply for the GPT-4 fine-tuning experimental access program. You may want a model to learn a completely new knowledge domain or to use a lot of proprietary data. So today we're launching a new program called Custom Models. With custom models, our researchers will work closely with a company. Okay, and then number 6, higher rate limits. We're doubling the tokens per minute for all of our established GPT-4 customers so that it's easier to do more. And you'll be able to request changes to further rate limits and quotas directly in your API account settings. So we're introducing Copyright Shield. Copyright Shield means that we will step in and defend our customers and pay the costs incurred if you face legal claims around copyright infringement. And this applies both to ChatGPT Enterprise and the API. We do not train on data from the API or ChatGPT Enterprise ever. A better model is considerably cheaper than GPT-4 by a factor of 3x for prompt tokens and 2x for completion tokens starting today. So the new pricing is 1 cent per 1,000 prompt tokens and 3 cents per 1,000 completion tokens. So we decided to prioritize price first because we had to choose one or the other, but we're going to work on speed next. We're also decreasing the cost of GPT 3.5 Turbo 16K. Also, input tokens are 3x less and output tokens are 2x less, which means that GPT 3.5 16K is now cheaper than the previous GPT 3.5 4K model. Running a fine-tuned GPT 3.5 Turbo 16K version is also cheaper than the old fine-tuned 4K version. So I'd like to bring out a special guest, Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft. Thanks so much for coming here. 2 questions, won't take too much of your time. How is Microsoft thinking about the partnership?
You guys have built something magical. I mean, quite frankly, there are 2 things for us when it comes to the partnership. The first is, these workloads, and even when I was listening backstage to how you're describing what's coming even, it's just so different and new. I've been in this infrastructure business for 3 decades. And so the first thing that we have been doing is building, in partnership with you, the system, all the way from thinking from power to the DC, to the rack, to the accelerators, to the network. And just really the shape of Azure is drastically changed and is changing rapidly in support of these models that you're building. And so our job number one is to build the best systems so that you can build the best models and then make that all available to developers. And so the other thing is we ourselves are a developer. So we're building products. In fact, my own conviction of this entire generation of foundation models completely changed the first time I saw GitHub Copilot on GPT. And so we want to build our Copilot, GitHub Copilot, all as developers on top of OpenAI APIs. And so we are very, very committed to that. And what does that mean to developers? Look, I always think of Microsoft as a platform company, a developer company, and a partner company. And so we want to make, for example, we want to make GitHub available, GitHub Copilot available as the Enterprise Edition available to all the attendees here so that they can try it out.
Great. And how do you think about the future?
There are a couple of things for me that I think are going to be very, very key for us, right? One is I just described how the systems that are needed as you aggressively push forward on your roadmap requires us to be on the top of our game. And we intend fully to commit ourselves deeply to making sure you all, as builders of these foundation models, have not only the best systems for training and inference, but the most compute so that you can keep pushing forward on the frontiers, because I think that's the way we're going to make progress. The second thing I think both of us care about, in fact, quite frankly, the thing that excited both sides to come together is your mission and our mission. Our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And to me, ultimately, AI is only going to be useful if it truly does empower. And then the last thing is, of course, we're very grounded in the fact that safety matters, and safety is not something that you'd care about later, but it's something we do shift left on, and we're very, very focused on that with you all.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Even though this is a developer conference, we can't resist making some improvements to ChatGPT. ChatGPT now uses GPT-4 Turbo. It can now browse the web when it needs to, write and run code, analyze data, take and generate images, and much more. And we heard your feedback, that model picker, extremely annoying. That is gone, starting today. You will not have to click around the drop-down menu. All of this will just work together. We're thrilled to introduce GPTs. GPTs are tailored versions of ChatGPT for a specific purpose. You can build a GPT, a customized version of ChatGPT for almost anything, and then you can publish it for others to use. And because they combine instructions, expanded knowledge, and actions, and you'll be able to use them right within ChatGPT. You can, in effect, program a GPT with language just by talking to it. So we're going to show you what GPTs are, how to use them, how to build them, and then we're going to talk about how they'll be distributed and discovered. Let's look at a few examples. Code.org crafted Lesson Planner GPT to help teachers provide a more engaging experience for middle schoolers. This GPT brings together Code.org's extensive curriculum and expertise and lets teachers adapt it to their needs quickly and easily. Canva has built a GPT that lets you start designing by describing what you want in natural language. If you say, make a poster for a DevDay reception this evening, and you give it some details, you can keep chatting with this to see different iterations. You can click through to Canva for the full design experience. So now, we'd like to show you a GPT live. I'd like to introduce Jessica, one of our solutions architects.
Thank you all for being here. I'm going to start with clicking on the Zapier AI actions. I can ask, what's on my schedule for today? We build GPTs with security in mind. It will ask for your permission. So right here, I'm going to say aloud. So GPT is designed to take in your instructions, make the decision on which capability to call to perform that action, and then execute that for you. So it looks like I have something coming up. So what if I want to let Sam know that I have to leave early? So right here I say, let Sam know I gotta go, chasing GPUs. With that, and then I'm gonna say, yes, please run that. Sam, did you get that?
I did.
Thank you, and back to you, Sam.
Those are 3 great examples. We know that many people who want to build a GPT don't know how to code. We've made it so that you can program a GPT just by having a conversation. So I'd like to show you how to build one. So I want to create a GPT that helps give founders and developers advice when starting new projects. I'm going to go to Create a GPT here, and this drops me into the GPT Builder. I worked with founders for years at YC, and still, whenever I meet developers, the questions I get are always about how do I think about a business idea? Can you give me some advice? I'm going to see if I can build a GPT to help with that. So to start, GPT Builder asks me what I want to make. And I'm going to say I want to help startup founders think through their business ideas and get advice. After the founder has gotten some advice, grill them on why they are not growing faster. So to start off, I just tell the GPT a little bit about what I want here. And it's going to go off and start thinking about that. And it's going to write some detailed instructions for the GPT. Let's see, ask me about a name. How do I feel about Startup Mentor? That's fine. That's good. So if I didn't like the name, of course, I could call it something else. But it's going to try to have this conversation with me and start there. And you can see here on the right in the preview mode that it's already starting to fill out the GPT. You know what? So it just generated a candidate. Of course, I could regenerate that or change it, but I sort of like that. So I will say, that's great. And you see now that the GPT is being built out a little bit more as we go. Now, what I want this to do, how it can interact with users, I could talk about style here. I am going to upload transcripts of some lectures about startups I have given. Please give advice based off of those. All right. So you can see some of the things that were built out here as we were going by the builder itself. And you can see that there's capabilities here that I can enable. I could add custom actions. These are all fine to leave. I'm going to upload a file. So here is a lecture that I picked that I gave with some startup advice. And I'm going to add that here. I'm going to add one more thing to the instructions here, which is be concise and constructive with feedback. And now we can try it out over on this preview tab. So I will say, what's a common question? What are 3 things to look for when hiring employees at an early stage startup? Now it's going to look at that document I uploaded. It'll also have, of course, all of the background knowledge of GPT-4. That's pretty good. Those are 3 things that I definitely have said many times. I'm going to publish this only to me for now. So that's what it looks like to create a GPT. So with GPTs, we're letting people easily share and discover all the fun ways that they use ChatGPT with the world. You can share your creations publicly with a link for anyone to use. Or if you're on ChatGPT Enterprise, you can make GPTs just for your company. And later this month, we're going to launch the GPT store. You can list a GPT there, and we'll be able to feature the best and the most popular GPTs. Of course, we'll make sure that GPTs in the store follow our policies before they're accessible. Revenue sharing is important to us. We're going to pay people who build the most useful and the most used GPTs a portion of our revenue. So those are GPTs, and we can't wait to see what you'll build. And the coolest thing about this is that we're bringing the same concept to the API. Many of you have already been building agent-like experiences on the API. For example, Shopify's Sidekick, which lets you take actions on the platform. Discord's Clyde lets Discord moderators create custom personalities for. And Snap's My AI. But they have been hard to build, sometimes taking months, teams of dozens of engineers. There's a lot to handle to make this custom assistant experience. So today we're making that a lot easier with our new Assistants API. The Assistants API includes persistent threads, so they don't have to figure out how to deal with long conversation history, built-in retrieval, code interpreter, a working Python interpreter in a sandbox environment, and of course, the improved function calling that we talked about earlier. So we'd like to show you a demo of how this works, and here is Raman.
Imagine I'm building Wanderlust, a travel app for global explorers, and this is the landing page. I've actually used GPT-4 to come up with these destination ideas, and these illustrations are generated programmatically using the new DALL-E 3 API available to all of you today. But let's enhance this app by adding a very simple assistant to it. Creating an assistant is easy. You just give it a name, some initial instructions, a model. In this case, I'll pick GPT-4 Turbo. And here, I'll also go ahead and select some tools. I'll turn on code interpreter and retrieval and save. And that's it. Our assistant is ready to go. Next, I can integrate with 2 new primitives of this Assistants API, threads and messages. Let's take a quick look at the code. The process here is very simple. For each new user, I will create a new thread. And as these users engage with their assistant, I will add their messages to these threads. Very simple. And then I can simply run the assistant at any time to stream the responses back to the app. So we can return to the app and try that in action. If I say, hey, let's go to Paris. All right, that's it. With just a few lines of code, users can now have a very specialized assistant right inside the app. If you have not used it yet, function calling is really powerful. It now guarantees the JSON output with no added latency, and you can invoke multiple functions at once for the first time. If I carry on and say, hey, what are the top 10 things to do? We're going to have the assistant respond to that again. And here, what's interesting is that the assistant knows about functions, including those to annotate the map that you see on the right. And that integration allows our natural language interface to interact fluidly with components and features of our app. But next, let's talk about retrieval. And retrieval is about giving our assistant more knowledge beyond these immediate user messages. So I'm just going to drag and drop here this PDF. And behind the scene here, what's happening is that retrieval is reading these files, and boom, the information about this PDF appeared on the screen. Assistants can parse long-form documents from extensive text to intricate product specs, depending on what you're building. In fact, I also booked an Airbnb, so I'm just going to drag that over to the conversation as well. You typically need to compute your embeddings. You need to set up chunking algorithm. Now, all of that is taken care of. With every API call, you usually need to resend the entire conversation history, which means, setting up a key value store. That means like handling the context window, serializing messages, and so forth. That complexity now completely goes away with this new stateful API. This is the thread I believe we're currently working on. And see, these are all the steps, including the functions being called with the right parameters and the PDFs I've just uploaded. Code Interpreter is now available today in the API as well. If I say here, hey, we'll be 4 friends staying at this Airbnb, what's my share of it plus my flights? Now here, what's happening is that Code Interpreter noticed that it should write some code to answer this query. So now it's computing, the number of days in Paris, the number of friends. It's also doing some exchange rate calculation behind the scene to get this answer for us. So to recap here, we've just seen how you can quickly create an assistant that manages state for your user conversations, leverages external tools like knowledge and retrieval and Code Interpreter, and finally invokes your own functions to make things happen. I wanted to show you to kind of really open up the possibilities using function calling combined with our new modalities that we're launching today. Let's bring my phone up on screen here so you can see it on the right. Awesome. So on the right, you can see a very simple Swift app that takes microphone input. And on the left, I'm actually going to bring up my terminal log so you can see what's happening behind the scenes. Hey there, I'm on the Keynote stage right now. Can you greet our attendees here at DevDay?
Hey everyone, welcome to DevDay. It's awesome to have you all here. Let's make it an incredible day.
You have 6 unique and rich voices to choose from in the API, each speaking multiple languages, so you can really find the perfect fit for your app. I'm using Whisper to convert the voice inputs into text, an assistant with GPT-4 Turbo, and finally the new TTS API to make it speak. So let's do something even more exciting here together. How about this? Hey assistant, can you randomly select 5 DevDay attendees here and give them $500 in OpenAI credits?
Yes, checking the list of attendees. Done. I picked 5 DevDay attendees and added $500 of API credits to their account. Congrats to Christine M., Jonathan C., Stephen G., Luis K., and Suraj S.
All right, if you recognize yourself, awesome, congrats. And that's it, a quick overview today of the new Assistants API combined with some of the new tools and modalities that we launched. I'm just going to talk to my assistant one last time before I step off the stage. Hey, assistant, can you actually give everyone here in the audience $500 in OpenAI credits?
Sounds great. Let me go through everyone.
All right. That function will keep running, but I've run out of time. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Back to you, Sam.
Pretty cool, huh? So that Assistants API goes into beta today, and we are super excited to see what you all do with it. Anybody can enable it. We introduced GPTs, custom versions of ChatGPT that combine instructions, extended knowledge, and actions. We launched the Assistants API to make it easier to build assisted experiences with your own apps. These are our first steps towards AI agents and will be increasing their capabilities over time. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for coming here today.